over here in the Gemara. What's the law? Are we concerned about this, or we're not concerned about this? Okay, that is the issue. Morning, Jaime. Sorry,
Morning,
I was
Rabbi.
trouble with the computer this morning connecting a little bit. You can sit right here, Adam. You sit right over here. So we're discussing the following interesting case. Can you use a live animal as a wall for a sukkah? That's the question in the Gemara. You know, we live in the city, so we're not really those type of people. But morning. But this was a question that people might ask the question. Obviously, the Gemara has to clarify, like Mr. Patesh says, what kind of case is that? The animal might run away. Are we afraid the animal? Is the animal tied? The animal's not tied. What's the circumstance that the Gemara is talking about? So we have a machlokit in the Mishnah, in the Gemara, between two rabbis, Rabbi Meir Hosel and Rabbi Yehuda Machshir. And Meir is says it's morning. We're gonna have you two all the best. Masim Adam, there's room by Mr. Haber. You can sit next to Mr. Haber, or
yes, I wasn't here.
Good morning. Max is back and better than ever. Maybe if Mr. Haber wants to move in, or the other guys move in. Okay. Morning. So, you know, Rameya is a rabbi who's very much, we find the Gemara, Rameya is chayish l'miyuta. He's concerned for the minorities. He's more concerned of certain situations that might not be as prevalent as other, he's concerned for the minority a lot. So here it's interesting. Rameya is also he is concerned. He says there's a problem here, and he says the sukkah is no good. The sukkah is no good. However, Rabbi Yehuda says the sukkah is fine. And the Gemara is going to clarify what's the issue here. My time with Rameya. Very good. What's the reason Rameya says that the sukkah is no good? On 23a, 2 on the right side. My time with the reason Rameya says the sukkah is no good. Maybe the animal is going to die. And if the animal might die on Yom Tov, and no more do you have the height of a wall. A wall needs to have a minimum height.
What if he doesn't die and just lies down?
Okay, very good. So the Gemara is gonna say another. Mr. Bitesh brings out another point. Why is the Gemara have to say maybe it's gonna die? Maybe just say that maybe the animal's gonna lie down. Animal lie down. It's going to lose the height of the sukkah. That's a good point. We'll see. The Gemara is going to discuss that point as we see in what aspects the Gemara discuss at that point. The Gemara says Shema Tumut. We're afraid the animal is going to die and no longer will have the height. The height of a sukkah has to be a minimum of 10 tvachim. 10 tvachim is between 30 and 40 inches. So as long as the animal is alive, standing, it has that height. But if it dies, it falls down. No more do you have the height. You don't have the height. It's not a kosher wall. Not a kosher wall. Therefore, the sukkah is not kosher. However, another opinion says Rav Zera Amar Shema Tivrach. Rav Zera says the issue is Mr. B'Tesh's issue. Maybe the animal is going to run away. That's the concern of having a sukkah with an animal. So then the Gemara says the pil kosher. If you're dealing with an elephant, or any type of animal which is like that large, like an elephant, then kuliyamalo pligi. Then if the elephant is, number one, if it's tied, so there's no concern that maybe it's going to run away.
He runs away, he's going to take all Sukkah.
And number two is, even if the animal dies, the animal is so large that when it dies, it still will have a height of 10 tvachim high. It still be 30 or 40 inches high. So therefore, if the animal is a pure kosher, kuliyamalo pligi, there's no argument. You could use it. So here the Gemara says everybody would say you could use an animal that's tied, an elephant that's tied as one of your walls. The inami mayit, even if it dies, its dead body, its carcass has still a height of 10 tvachim. Ki pligi b'pil she'ena kashur. Where do they argue? Now we turn the page. They turn the page is a elephant that's not tied. If it's not tied, so now what's the machloket? What's the argument the Gemara is suggesting now? Leman diyama shema tamut. According to the one that says that maybe it's going to die, the concern is that maybe the animal's going to die. So if that's the only concern you're worried about, the animal might die, lo chashkinan. If the animal is an elephant, there's nothing to be concerned about. But even if the elephant dies, you still have the proper height of the sukkah. But the opinion has Mr. Petesh's issue that maybe the animal might run away. So even if the elephant is not tied, therefore chashina, there'll be a concern. If you're worried about maybe it's going to run away, so it doesn't make a difference what the animal is. The animal might run away, and therefore will not be a kosher sukkah. Now again, the kosher sukkah will be rabbinically. The Rabbanon would say that the kosher sukkah can't use it because such a sukkah is ready to be ruined. That meaning at any moment the animal can run away, and you might not be aware of it, and therefore they don't want you to use such a sukkah. They don't want you to use such a sukkah. Yes, Adam.
Everybody is okay if the big animal is tied.
Big animal that's tied. That if it will die, an elephant. The way you think it's an elephant.
No, elephant is tied. Everybody agrees.
Right.
And a small animal is only okay if it's tied, and if like a small animal is not okay.
A small animal again, but it has a height of 10 tefachim. So one opinion says if it's tied, it's fine, and one opinion says it's not fine.
It's not okay.
Right. So meaning
elephant
tied. Right. Now what's the issue? So the Gemara is going to ask the following question. So the Gemara asks, Lamandi ama zera shem betamut. According to the opinion that says you're afraid that maybe the animal will die, and that's the concern. If you're afraid an animal might die, you should definitely be afraid that the animal will run away. So why are you telling me? You're telling me if you have an elephant, and the elephant, you're telling me if it's not tied, you told me that there's no problem. Because in this case, according to that opinion, because even if it dies, it still will have the proper height, right? One opinion says the concern you have to be afraid is the animal is going to die.
Yeah,
And therefore, but if it's an elephant, even if it dies, it's not a problem because it still has the proper height. But the Gemara asks, but if you're afraid if it's going to die, you should definitely be afraid of Mr. Betesh's problem. Maybe it's going to run away. So how could you only be concerned about death of the animal and not to be concerned that the animal is going to run away?
Bigger percentage is running away.
Bigger percentage, more exactly. So therefore, why should you be? Why would you allow an elephant that's not tied, and you're going to say it's good because you're not afraid of death? Because even if it dies, it's not the proper height. It's still, but you should be afraid that maybe the animal's going to ride mistake. It's going to run away. The Gemara accepts the question. The Gemara says, "Ella b'pil she'ena kashur." If it's an elephant that's not tied, kuliyama lo pligi. Everybody will agree, like Mr. Betesh says. No good. An animal that's not tied, everybody doesn't make a difference who the animal is. I don't care if you're an elephant. Everybody will agree. If an animal is not tied, you can't make a sukkah with an animal as one of your walls that's not tied. That you can't do. Because what would happen, Simon? It might run away. You can't make a sukkah with something at any moment, and you won't even realize that you won't even realize. What? Right. Okay, we'll have to see about a human. We'll have to see the Gemara. Yeah, we didn't get. I mean, if the human is Mr. Betesh bring up the same point. The same problem should be by a human. The human might run away, or unless the human is different, because the human has knowledge and he knows not to run away. Would you say that? We'll have to see. So the Gemara says, "Keep pligi b'behema kshuba." They're arguing by not an elephant that's tied. They're arguing by an animal, a regular animal, cow. Okay, let's say it has a height of 10 tefachim. It has the right height, normal animal. And the animal is tied. But if the animal dies, then it'll lose the height. So are you afraid the animal might die? Well, you don't have to be afraid the animal might die. Again, Sukkah, the holiday Sukkah is a 7-day holiday. You have to worry that during this time period the animal's going to die. You tied the animal up. So what do you have to worry about? So the Gemara says, what do you say? Whatever, we have a veterinarian right here, a doctor right here of animals right here. What? So the Gemara's going to talk about. Stay tuned. Get ready. We're going to talk about lying down. So the Gemara says, Mr. Habe, are you comfortable over there? I'm sorry, you're good. That we're afraid the animal might die. So Chashina. So we're going to say it's not a good sukkah because the animal might die, and therefore, if the animal dies, you lose the height of 10 tefachim. But according to the concern that we're afraid that maybe it's going to run away, so in this case, there's no problem. It's not going to run away. Lo chashina. There's no concern because the animal's tied up. So one opinion is not concerned the animal's going to die, and therefore, if the cow is tied up, you're good. The other opinion says we're afraid the animal's going to die, even if it's tied up, it's no good.
So we're clarification, whether or not worry about the edge case of the rare kind.
The animal dying. You have to worry about that. And Rameh is concerned, like I told you in general, Rameh is concerned for the minority. Maybe it's within his mindset, the type of his reasoning that he's afraid, he's concerned. He's a more cautious type of opinion, and he wants you to be extra sure you should have that scenario that might happen sometime. It doesn't happen the majority of the time. It's enough to be concerned that you should not use such a sukkah, because what's going to happen, imagine, where Rashi explains, the animal dies on sukkah, on the holiday. You can't build a wall on the holiday. The animal died and the animal fell down because it died. And now it no longer doesn't have the height of 10 tvachim, and you're stuck. Meaning technically, if the animal died during weekdays, so according to that opinion of Rashi's understanding, there wouldn't be such a problem. Just put up another wall. But according to the opinion that says, but Rashi's saying the concern is maybe the animal die on the holiday. The animal dies on the holiday. We're going to not going to have a wall. Now, so the Gemara says, what does the Gemara say? So the Gemara says, like Adam said, for something to be a wall, you can't have a wall that you have, if you have a lot of space between, let's say, between the legs of the animal. The animal has the four legs, right? So in between the, let's say, the whole belly of the animal is like the table, right? It goes like that, and has that whole space between the ground and its belly. And that whole space is considered a breach in the wall. If we're going to say this is the wall, this animal that's going this way is the wall, that's true. It has feet on the ground, but it has all the space between the ground and its belly. So that should be it's called a big breach in the wall. And if a wall, if it's above 3 tefachim from the ground, so if you have this, if a wall does not come within 3 tefachim of the ground, within 9 to 12 inches, that's not a good wall. A wall has to go at least within 3 tefachim, within 9 to 12 inches. If it goes to 9 to 12 inches, we look at it as if it's underground itself. But if it's raised above 3 tefachim from the ground, it's not a good wall. And this animal, it's the wall, which is its stomach, it's raised above 3 tefachim from the ground.
If you put a cover over it, like
Uh, uh, now you're Mr. Batesh. No, he knows all the Gemara. He has all his mind he figures everything out. So the or that's one way, or he figures it out. Okay, whichever way works. Whichever way works. So the Gemara says, the Avid labor who dafna. He takes the palm branches and he uses them, or things of the tree, and he uses it as like a wall. And he puts that down. Let's say this is the belly of the table is the belly of the animal. So from the belly, from the side, he puts down these branches, and he uses that as the wall to help to fill in the space between the belly of the animal and the ground. So therefore, there's no concern. There's no concern of that the space is between the belly and the ground. So the Gemara says, but Vidilma Rava, there was also Mr. Batesh's problem. Someone's question. Maybe the animal is going to crouch down, right? What's the case that we're talking about? We're talking about an animal that's tied, right? So the animal's tied. Now, there's different ways you tie an animal. There's one way you could tie an animal from its foot, maybe, if our doctor could say it. And therefore the animal won't move. You're tying from its foot. Certain parts of the animal you tie, depends where you tie the animal. So the Gemara's understanding that you tie the animal in a way, it's not going to run away, but still could lie down. So the Gemara's question is, maybe the animal is going to crouch down. And if the animal is going to crouch down, then you should have a problem that it's no longer the height of 10 tvachim. It's lost the height because it has crouched down. So the Gemara said, when you tied it with the rope from the top upper part of the body of the animal, and now in a way that the animal won't be able to crouch down. That's how you tied the animal in such a fashion, and that's what the Gemara says, and therefore there's no concern that the animal might crouch down. The Gemara says, so there's no issue of that. So what's the issue? The Gemara says, so the issue is, are you concerned the animal will die, or the animal will not die?
Still hanging from the.
So, Mr. Batesh, I want to tell you, Mr. Batesh, you could have written the Gemara today. I want to tell you, you're doing great. So the Gemara asked Mr. Batesh's question. By the way, if you figure out the Gemara's question, that means you're on the right page. That means you're on the right line. You're thinking straight. So the Gemara says, well, the man, the Tamud. So Rameh is concerned. What's Rameh is concerned? Right? The animal is tied. It's tied from the top. It's not gonna crouch down. The same way it's not gonna crouch down. It's not gonna. So what are you concerned? Maybe it's gonna die. But even if it dies, since it's tied from the top, the same way it's not gonna crouch down. So the death of the animal is not going to make it lower either. If he does, but it's being held up by ropes.
You're going around his belly.
They still leave rope enough that I don't know if he can move it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very stressful. But
Yeah, tied around his
stuck
body.
in one position for 7 days.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
I know.
makes no sense. Okay.
Well, if this is supposed to be, if this is supposed to be like out of convenience, like, oh, we don't have it. We're going.
No, I'm saying, we could say he's doing it for the night. He's traveling with his animal. You know what? He's traveling with his animal, and he wants to put up a sukkah right now. He's not leaving for 7 days. He has the ability to leave for 7 days. It might not be such a nice thing, but he's traveling, and you can assemble them. They can pick up on a sukkah as long as you could put up a sukkah, take up on a sukkah. Not on the holiday. So
So it makes sense.
he's traveling.
parents, he went to the next 2 nights with his in-laws. The travel.
And he's traveling, and
And then he's gonna stop by the side of the road. He found, look, I found a tree, I found another little wall, and the third wall, the only thing I have is like my couch. So he sets it, so he ties it in such a way like this. He lays down some reeds on top and goes to bed.
right, so it's beautiful. So that's what my Monday was saying. Tell me, if the animals gonna die.
Perfect picture.
Nami hametichim be'ashim el.
He's gonna travel, we travel with the desert, I mean.
Mr. Patesh, you're in a minor up today, but people are, not everybody, people used to spend a lot of time with big animals at the farms.
Yeah, let's say it'd be normal, it's normal if you're traveling from one town to another town to go with like donkeys, oxen, mules, carriers.
Yeah.
It's very common. My
I mean, I have a car now, that's why I use a car. But if I didn't have a car, the way you do it is you have like horses, mules. Otherwise you have to carry. Heavy stuff is, not like.
Now the Gemara says, even if it has the ropes on top. The Gemara says, sometimes you're going to keep the animal. We know if you have a wall that's a little over 7 tvachim, 7 tvachim plus, if it's within 3 tvachim of the schach, we say it's as if it's attached to it's attached. So you can have a wall that's 7 tvachim plus within 3 tvachim to the top. But if the animal dies, as a result of the animal dies, it shrivels up, it shrinks a little bit, and therefore no longer will you have the height of 10 tvachim. That's why we're afraid the animal might die, even though it's not going to fall down. But you know what happened? It shrinks. The body shrinks when it dies, and therefore it loses the height. The Gemara says, "The kiva the ma'isa since it dies." We turn the page. Kavsa, it shrinks. The lava daite, you don't even realize that it's shrunk. You won't realize to fix it. You think, wait a minute, I started with a sukkah. I don't even realize that now. Look, I recognize that now it's less than 10 tvachim because the animal shrunk a drop. I don't realize it. It's not so recognizable to me. And I don't have a kosher sukkah. I started with a kosher sukkah because the wall, the animal was 7 tvachim, a little bit higher than 10 tvachim, 7 tvachim, and it was within 3 tvachim of the schach. But now it's no longer that spot, and I will lose out the mitzvah of sukkah. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. I'm looking forward. Mr. Haber will take a rate for us.
Thank you.